The Life and Philosophy of Aristotle by Diogenes Laertius. Aristotle, born in Stagira to Nicomachus and Phaestius, had an impressive lineage tracing back to the renowned Aesculapius. His father, a physician and buddy of King Amyntas of Macedonia, shaped his early years. A standout among Plato's students, Aristotle was unique. He had a distinctive, lisping voice and wasn't physically imposing with his slender legs and small eyes. However, he had a flair for fashion, sporting noticeable clothes and accessories, and took great care in styling his hair. Aristotle had a son, Nicomachus, with his concubine Herpilis. This detail was noted by Timotheus, who seemed to have kept a keen eye on Aristotle's life. While Plato was still around, Aristotle broke away to forge his own path. There's a tale that Plato felt slighted, much like a mother hen feels when her chicks leave the nest. Hermippus, a historian, recounted that Aristotle's departure coincided with an assignment he had in Macedonia. Upon his return, finding someone else heading the academy, he chose the Lyceum as his new base. Here, he would walk and talk philosophy with his students, which is how he came to be known as a peripatetic, a fancy term for someone who likes to walk and talk. Some say this nickname also came from the time he strolled with Alexander the Great as he recovered from illness. As his group grew, he adapted, setting up a more formal teaching space. He was known for encouraging his students to tackle any topic thrown their way. He trained them like orators, prepping them for rigorous intellectual debates. Aristotle's journey then took him to Hermias the eunuch, a tyrant in Atarneus. Hermias, once a slave and now a man of power, was exceptionally close to Aristotle, and it's said they even became family through marriage. Demetrius of Magnesia claims Aristotle married either Hermias's daughter or niece. Aristippus, another contemporary writer, adds a twist, suggesting Aristotle fell for Hermias's concubine and, with Hermias's blessing, married her. Aristotle's affection was so profound he even composed a hymn in her honour, much like how the Athenians venerate their deities. After this period, Aristotle's journey led him to Macedonia, where he became a part of King Philip's court. Here he took on a significant role, educating Philip's son, Alexander the Great. Recognizing Aristotle's influence, Philip granted his request to rebuild his hometown, Stagira, which Philip himself had razed. Aristotle didn't just stop there. He became a lawmaker for his people, a practice he mirrored in his own school, likely inspired by Xenocrates. Eventually, Aristotle felt it was time to move on from Macedonia. He recommended his relative, Callisthenes, to take over as Alexander's guide. However, Callisthenes' outspoken nature and his reluctance to heed Aristotle's advice led to a strained relationship. Aristotle's foresight regarding Callisthenes proved accurate. Accused of conspiring against Alexander, Callisthenes faced a grim fate, confined in an iron cage, neglected, covered in lice, and ultimately fed to a lion. After 13 years leading his school in Athens, Aristotle had to leave under mysterious circumstances. He headed to Chalcis after facing accusations of impiety. Eurymedon, the Hierophant, was the one who charged him, though Favorinus claimed it was Demophilus. The charges were linked to his hymn to Hermias and an epigram inscribed on Hermias's statue at Delphi, which read, "In Persian lands the archer king did violate the divine ring. Not by valour in the sun, but by betrayal was this done." Aristotle's life came to an end after drinking aconite, as recorded by Eumelus, who claimed Aristotle was 70 at his death. However, this seems off, as Aristotle was likely only 63 and had been with Plato since he was 17. The hymn in honour of Hermias, full of reverence and admiration, goes like this: "O virtue, hard won, shining bright, you offer life's most splendid light, leading us upward, higher still, beyond mere earthly thrill. For this Greeks would gladly trade, a fearless life, an unafraid death, no hour too long, no challenge too great, such is your promised fate. Richer than gold, sweeter than sleep, beyond the comforts home can keep. For you, great heroes dared to fight, to claim your noble height. Alcides, Leda's twins did strive, in your name their feats alive. Achilles, Ajax sought your grace, in death's cold embrace. King of Atarneus, led by your call, left the sun, embraced the fall. Now in songs his name we keep, in reverence deep. Honoured by Xenian Jove's might, bound by friendship's sacred light, his story, a beacon of awe, in memory without flaw. I also wrote an epigram addressing Aristotle's conflict with Eurymedon and his final moments. It goes like this. Eurymedon, servant of mysteries deep, planned to accuse Aristotle, Stagira's keep. But with Aconite's embrace Aristotle fled, defying the plot, with his final bed. Favorinus, in his Universal History, credits Aristotle with being the first to craft a speech for his own defence in court. This was during his trial in Athens, where he famously said, "Pears upon pear trees grow, on fig trees figs." Apollodorus, in his Chronicles, pinpoints Aristotle's birth to the first year of the 99th Olympiad. He joined Plato at age 17 and spent the next 20 years as his student. Aristotle moved to Mytilene during Eubulus's archonship in the fourth year of the 108th Olympiad. After Plato's death in the first year of this Olympiad, Aristotle spent 3 years at Hermias's court. Then, in the archonship of Pythodotus and the second year of the 109th Olympiad, he joined Philip's court when Alexander was 15. He returned to Athens in the second year of the 111th Olympiad, leading his school in the Lyceum for 13 years. Finally, he relocated to Chalcis in the third year of the 114th Olympiad and passed away at about 63, the same year Demosthenes died, under the archonship of Philocles. Aristotle reportedly harboured resentment towards Alexander, partly due to the fallout from Callisthenes' conspiracy. To spite Aristotle, Alexander favoured Anaximenes and sent gifts to Xenocrates. Theocritus of Chios mocked Aristotle in an epigram, as cited by Ambrian. The hollow-minded Aristotle raised a vacant tomb for Hermias the eunuch, the long enslaved of mistreated Eubulus, choosing the Bosphorus over Academia's shades. Timon, too, criticised Aristotle, saying, "Nor heed the vain babble of hollow Aristotle." This, in brief, was the life of the philosopher Aristotle. Aristotle's will was a thoughtful and detailed document. It goes like so. May things turn out well, but if anything happens to me, I, Aristotle, have made the following disposition of my affairs. Antipater shall be the general and universal executor. Until Nicanor marries my daughter, I appoint Aristomedes, Timarchus, Hippocus, Dioteles, and Theophrastus, if he is willing and accepts the charge, as guardians of my children and Herpyllis, and trustees of all the property I leave behind. I desire that they give my daughter in marriage to Nicanor when she comes of age. However, should anything happen to her, which I hope not, either before or after her marriage, but before she has any children, then I wish that Nicanor shall have complete control over my son and all other matters, confident that he will manage them in a way worthy of both me and himself. Nicanor should also act as guardian for my daughter and son Nicomachus, managing their affairs as if he were their father or brother. But, if something were to happen to Nicanor, either before he marries my daughter, after their marriage, or before they have any children, then his will shall stand. Should Theophrastus choose to marry my daughter in such a situation, he shall take Nicanor's place. If not, then my trustees, consulting with Antipater, shall make all decisions regarding the boy and girl as they see fit. Remembering how well Herpyllis has behaved towards me, if she wishes to remarry, they should find her a husband not unworthy of us. In addition, they should give her a talent of silver, 3 maidservants if she wishes, her current handmaid, and the boy Piraeus. If she prefers to live in Chalcis, she may have the house adjoining the garden. If in Stagira, then my father's house. Whichever house she chooses, I instruct my executors to furnish it adequately in consultation with Herpyllis. Let Nicanor be the guardian of the child Myrmex, ensuring he is returned to his relatives in a manner worthy of us, along with all his property which I received. I also decree that Ambraxis shall be freed, and upon her daughter's marriage be given 500 drachmas and her current handmaid. To Thales I give, besides her current handmaiden, 1,000 drachmas and another handmaid. To Timon, in addition to the previously given amount for another boy, an additional slave or equivalent money. Tychon, Philon, Olympius and his son should be freed when Tychon's daughter is married. None of the boys serving me shall be sold. My executors may use them, and upon maturity, emancipate them if they merit it. My executors should also oversee the statues entrusted to Grilion, ensuring their erection in proper places. This includes statues of Nicanor, Proxenus, and Nicanor's mother. The statue of Arimnestus, already made, should be erected as a memorial, as she died childless. A statue of my mother should be dedicated to Ceres in Nemea, or wherever else deemed appropriate. Wherever I am buried, the bones of Pythias should also be placed, as per her wishes. I hope Nicanor, having been preserved, will fulfill the vow I made on his behalf and dedicate animal figures in stone, 4 cubits high, to Jupiter the Saviour and Minerva the Saviour in Stagira. In his house they found quite a collection of dishes, a detail that hints at his lifestyle. Lycon, a contemporary, shared an interesting tidbit about Aristotle's bathing habits. He claimed Aristotle bathed in a bath of warm oil and then sold the oil afterward. However, others suggest a less extravagant routine, saying he merely placed a bag of warm oil on his stomach. Aristotle had a unique method to prevent oversleeping. He would go to bed holding a bronze ball over a bronze dish. The idea was that when he fell asleep and his grip relaxed, the ball would drop into the dish. The resulting clatter would wake him up, ensuring he didn't sleep too long. This simple yet ingenious technique reflects Aristotle's practical approach to solving everyday problems. Aristotle's wisdom is sprinkled across various aspects of life, each insight offering a glimpse into his profound understanding of the human condition. He had a knack for turning complex ideas into succinct, memorable sayings. For instance, when discussing the consequences of dishonesty, he pointed out that liars lose the trust of others, even when they finally speak the truth. His views on charity were equally insightful. He once defended giving to an unworthy person by highlighting the act of compassion towards the person's plight, not their character. Aristotle often drew parallels between the physical and intellectual realms, likening the soul's enlightenment to the way sight gains light from the air. His sharp wit was evident in his critique of the Athenians, who, according to him, managed to ignore the laws they created as efficiently as they consumed the wheat they invented. Education, a subject close to his heart, was beautifully encapsulated in his words. He compared its initial challenges to bitter roots that eventually bear sweet fruits. He also highlighted the fleeting nature of gratitude, describing it as something that ages rapidly. Hope to Aristotle was like a dream experienced by those awake, a poetic interpretation of this often elusive feeling. His interactions with the philosopher Diogenes showcased his cleverness. By accepting and then returning a dry fig offered by Diogenes, Aristotle playfully navigated the situation, avoiding the cynic's trap and showcasing his own humour. His perspective on education was holistic, emphasizing the need for natural ability, structured learning, and consistent practice. When he learned of someone slandering him, his response was dismissive yet profound, suggesting an indifference to the opinions of others. Aristotle's thoughts on beauty are subject to debate. While some say he viewed beauty as the best recommendation anyone could give, others attribute that to Diogenes. He viewed education not just as a tool for personal growth, but as a crucial element that distinguished the living from the dead, offering ornamentation in times of prosperity and refuge in adversity. He believed that the true measure of a person wasn't just their city of origin, but whether they were worthy of a great city. His definition of friendship was deeply philosophical, envisioning it as one soul shared between two bodies. Observing human behavior, he noted the contrasting approaches to life. Some hoard resources as if they'll live forever, while others spend recklessly as if death is imminent. His response to a query about people's attraction to beauty was sharp, suggesting it was a question better suited for the blind. Philosophy, for Aristotle, was not just an academic pursuit, but a practical guide that taught him to act with integrity without the compulsion of laws. He advised his students to always strive for excellence, pushing beyond their limits rather than waiting for others to catch up. Even when faced with direct mockery, Aristotle remained unfazed, indicating his focus lay elsewhere. His perspective on giving was not constrained by the recipient's character. He saw it as an act of service to humanity. His advice on interpersonal relationships was simple yet profound. Treat friends as you wish to be treated. His definition of justice was as a virtue that distributes what each deserves. As for education, he saw it as an invaluable companion in old age. He often repeated, as noted by Favorinus and in his Ethics, a paradoxical sentiment about friendship. Having many friends might mean having none at all. Aristotle's literary output was nothing short of monumental, a true testament to his intellectual breadth and depth. He delved into virtually every area of philosophy and beyond, creating a treasure trove of knowledge. His works weren't just limited to philosophy, they spanned various disciplines, showcasing his versatile genius. He penned multiple books on subjects like justice, poetry, and philosophy, indicating a keen interest in the fundamental aspects of human thought and society. His explorations into politics and statesmanship were extensive, reflecting his deep understanding of governance and public affairs. Notably, his work on rhetoric, also known as Gryllus, highlights his expertise in the art of persuasion. Aristotle's interest in more personal and subjective topics like pleasure, friendship, and the soul is evident in his writings. These works offer insights into his thoughts on individual experiences and relationships. His treatise on education reveals his vision for nurturing the human mind, a topic undoubtedly close to his heart. In addition to these, Aristotle showed a profound interest in more abstract concepts like good, sovereignty, and even the nature of suffering. His inquiries into sciences and discussions suggest a quest for understanding the natural world and the human condition. His comprehensive exploration of ethics, elements, and various forms of logical and argumentative discourse like syllogisms, analytics, and epicuremata, argumentative commentaries, demonstrate his foundational role in these fields. Aristotle's curiosity extended to the practical and observational sciences as well. His works on anatomy, zoology, botany, medicine, and astronomy underscore his role as a polymath. He didn't shy away from more specialized topics like music, optics, and even mechanics, reflecting a mind that sought to understand every facet of the world. Moreover, his engagement with the works of other philosophers like Archytas, Speusippus, Xenocrates, and even the Pythagoreans shows his willingness to engage with and critique the thoughts of his peers and predecessors. His literary contributions also included poetry and prose, with works ranging from Homeric critiques to letters to contemporaries like Philip of Macedon and Alexander the Great. In total, the sheer volume of his works amounted to hundreds of thousands of lines. Aristotle, a titan of philosophy, had a comprehensive and nuanced view of the discipline. He saw philosophy as a field with two main branches, practical and theoretical. The practical side he further divided into ethics and politics, the latter encompassing both statecraft and household management. The theoretical branch comprised physics and logic, with logic serving as a versatile tool across various arts and sciences. He distinguished two primary objectives in philosophy: persuasion and truth. To achieve these, he utilized dialectics and rhetoric for persuasion, and analytical examination and philosophy for uncovering truth. Aristotle was thorough in his approach, covering all bases from discovery to judgment to application. He provided a wealth of resources for generating persuasive arguments and critically examining principles and their resulting conclusions. Aristotle also offered a dual criterion for truth, one based on perceptual effects and the other on understanding ethical, political, and economic matters. He defined the ultimate good as the exercise of virtue in a perfect life and conceived happiness as a composite of three types of goods: the goods of the soul, which he deemed the most powerful, bodily goods like health and strength, and external goods such as wealth and honor. However, he noted that virtue alone couldn't guarantee happiness, as external factors also play a role. In his views on virtue, Aristotle believed that possessing one virtue didn't necessarily lead to possessing others. For instance, a person could be prudent and just yet still lack self-control. He saw the wise not as devoid of passions, but as possessing moderated ones. Friendship, to Aristotle, was mutual goodwill between equals, encompassing familial, romantic, and hospitable forms. He differentiated between sensual and philosophical love, and believed that the wise are not immune to love, are involved in politics, marry, and can live with a king. Of the three types of life, speculative, practical, and voluptuous, he favored the speculative life. Aristotle also saw the pursuit of general knowledge as beneficial to acquiring virtue. His skill as a natural philosopher was unparalleled, allowing him to trace even the minutest effects to their causes. This analytical ability led him to write extensively on physical phenomena. On theology, Aristotle concurred with Plato that God is incorporeal and governs all things, especially in relation to the heavenly bodies. He proposed a fifth element beyond the traditional four, unique to celestial bodies and possessing a circular motion. He described the soul as the first entelechy of a physical and organic body, existing in potentiality and actuality, and dual in nature. Aristotle's prolific contributions spanned nearly 400 works, a testament to his immense industry and ingenuity. Besides these, many other works and sayings are attributed to him, though he never wrote them down himself. The name Aristotle was shared by several notable individuals throughout history, each distinguished in their own right. The most famous Aristotle, and the one we've been discussing, was the philosopher whose contributions to a vast array of subjects left a lasting impact on Western thought. Apart from him, There were 7 others known by the same name. The second Aristotle was an Athenian statesman, known for his eloquent forensic orations that have stood the test of time. The third was an author who specialized in a treatise on Homer's Iliad. The fourth Aristotle was a Siciliot orator, who notably wrote a response to Isocrates' panegyric. The fifth, known as Aristotle the Myth, was a friend of Aeschines, the student of Socrates. The sixth was from Cyrene and authored a work on poetry, contributing to the rich tradition of ancient literary criticism. The seventh Aristotle was a schoolmaster, whose work earned a mention in Aristoxenus' Life of Plato. Lastly, the eighth was a grammarian, not widely known but credited with a treatise on pleonasm, exploring the use of redundant language. Moving on from these Aristotles, another figure of great significance was Theophrastus, a close friend and successor of the philosopher Aristotle. Theophrastus was himself an eminent philosopher and is deserving of attention for his contributions and his close association with Aristotle. And with that, we close the chapter on Aristotle, a titan of philosophy whose thoughts continue to echo through time. As we journeyed through the annals of history, guided by the words of Diogenes Laertius, we hope you found inspiration and insight in the life of this extraordinary thinker. It's incredible how ideas conceived centuries ago still resonate and influence us today. If this exploration has sparked your curiosity or brought you a new perspective, feel free to share your thoughts and reflections in the comments. If you wish to help us delve deeper into our shared history, we invite you to explore our Patreon. Your support enables us to continue unearthing these timeless stories and sharing them in our unique way. The link is in the description below. Until our next journey into the minds that have shaped our world, keep pondering, keep questioning, and keep the flame of curiosity alive.